done or we've heard other people do, and tips to try to keep you guys safe. So tonight, just going to talk a little bit and just being aware of everybody's time. We appreciate you being here. Just some due diligence, and due diligence is I think everybody knows the normal stuff: the price of the house, the ARV, inspections, and some of that other stuff that goes on to making sure it's a good deal. But some of the things that we either have got caught with or know people that have got caught with is some things that they missed. Early on, we didn't know that our title company, you have to, some title companies in some areas, you have to ask for a municipal lien check. So if you don't know to ask for that, then there might be some liens out there that you think you have a clear title, and you will, they'll sell you the house, and then you'll get this nice little surprise for different liens that you have to take care of because you've already closed on it. So just some of those little things with condos are another one. That's a big thing. We're down here in Sarasota, Florida, where it's beautiful at the moment. So no hurricanes. And condos are a big thing here, and a lot of people don't pay attention to, they'll just buy a condo. And we can speak to this one personally. Our very first, we weren't even trying to be in real estate, and we bought a condo that was on owner financed. We thought we were all big shot because we got it 0% interest. Well, we didn't ask that question: what special assessments are coming down the pike? That's something an agent would have had to disclose. But we didn't see the disrepair of the HOA board. So a lot of the condos, somebody will try to sell those, and it'll basically be some special assessments that they know coming down the pike, especially after Surfside. We know a lot of people down here getting clobbered with assessments. A friend of ours just got a $50,000 assessment for it's going to come quickly, and there's not that many building owners, so split up by 10, you're going to have a pretty hefty bill to have that engineer come in and kind of look at things. So there's all kind of little caveats that you need to pay attention to. It's not just the price and the ARV. I guess zoning laws are another thing. Early on, we bought some properties here in Sarasota, and we ended up buying them the right way, but the person selling them kept saying, well, there's 3 lots, it's 3 lots in one house, so you can build 2 other houses. If we hadn't delved into it a little bit, the price that they wanted, because they were basing it on 3 houses and not one, expecting us to build 2 other ones. So basically, you have to go to the county and say, what can I put on here? And as it turns out, because of the way the setbacks were, those lots really didn't mean anything. It was just an extra big yard. So yes, we can sell it because it has a big yard, but that wholesaler was really pitching it, hey, get this house, build 2 other ones, you'll make a ton of money. But had we not called the county office, we wouldn't have seen, that it's the price of the house with the big yard. It's not anything different. So that's another thing. You always have to check with zoning, and the permits is another one, and code violation is a big one. Again, we've heard of different things that, Baltimore City, I think, was a good one for that. As soon as we would close the house, the code officer would come around, and almost, the next day or 2 days after, I felt like they were hawking the title companies or something. Like we would get a notice for, high grass or windows or whatever they pick. But there are some code violations that, they always follow the house. And if you buy that house without clearing the code violations, you might be stuck with a pretty hefty bill. We bought one in Indiana that happened. It was as is. It was a auction house that they sometimes you lesson learned. We were all excited. We got in with this auction house, but basically they sell it as is with anything. They use their title company, so we didn't get that municipal check. And then come to find out there was a code violation. Most of the time the code guys are good. You can basically talk to them, and as long as they think you're going to take care of the property and get it up to speed, they'll kind of give you a little bit of leeway. But that one could have went way south to the tune of $10,000. So just luckily we, did the James thing and we had a good relationship, and we kind of talked to the code guy and told him we were going to make things better, and he went with that. One other due diligence, and then again, this is us, learning the hard way early on. We bought a house. Everybody gets those descriptions with their house. So it's, sometimes it's go to the stop sign and 50 paces left and 50 paces right. And, because they're old, and, we typically read over them and didn't really dwell on 'em at the time. It was like, it's this house, it's the letters are on it and all this. And I'll just read this one because it's interesting. I won't read the whole thing just in the interest of time, but this parcel, a line through the whole parcel, of which the parcel hereby is conveyed was once a part, and although the center of the existing 2-car garage, south 15 degrees and 37 seconds, west 150, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, and we had already sold the house on a lease option, but that 2-car garage was split in half. So as soon as our guy got in there, the neighbor's coming over knocking on the door. The garage is split in half. He's calling us, it's a whole thing. We worked it out where we put, a wall between. They both have a 1-car garage. Everybody was happy, but at one time that was 2 parcels. It got split. I don't know how the garage got split in half or whatever that story is. But so just those kind of things you have to read to make sure, you're buying the right house. The land is where you think it is. We had another investor we were helping out, and he bought a manufactured home on property. Well, the manufactured home somehow had moved on to the neighbor's property by, maybe 5 feet, not much, but the house sat on the other guy's property. And then when this investor went to purchase it, he basically came out and said, well, you have to move it, which then that's just more money you have to allow, if you can even do it, or different things. So just those little things that you have to pay attention to, that he would have, that was what, if he had purchased the house, it would have been a big headache. He was talking a lawsuit and fencing off and tearing his part that was on his lawn, trees on other people's lawn. I mean, people can get pretty crappy with different things when they want to be. So due diligence is, they're just some of the other things that we look for with, so if we go to purchase a house, we're getting on the county website looking for permits. Another big one in Florida is, and I think that's starting to come to the forefront, is I buy a house, and a lot of people, down here had the 2-bedroom, 1-bath, which now everybody wants a 3-2. So they were taking the garage area and building that out and putting the master bedroom, bathroom in there. So then they have a 3-2, which is all good, but they weren't getting the permit. So I go in, if I buy the house, I got a nice 3-2. But then when I go to sell the house, somebody else comes in and says, where's the permit for this? And that just opens a big can of worms where they could come back and make you tear it all out and put a permit in. Your resale value isn't going to be much. You might have to keep the house as a renter, just as a rental, because you can't really sell it as a 3-2. It's going to be a 2-1. So just some different dynamics. And we see a lot of that down here. I just think, I don't know, I think maybe they were vacation homes and they were just 2-1. So that's what they typically do. So we always go to the permits, and then we go to the county websites, code violations, and then just always have your title company, do check all liens, municipal. I'm not sure if that's standard operating procedure, and I think we got burnt with it once. I don't think it was my title company, but in Baltimore, the water thing is a big issue, where they just let the bill go, and then all of a sudden you have a tax lien on it, or a water bill lien, or whatever they call it. So they wanted to use their title company, I think, and that one kind of slipped through. So then you have $1,000 water bill you got to take care of on the other side of it after closing. I don't know if they've caught on to that now, but that was like back in 2016. So some of you Baltimore folks might know about the city water stuff. So those are some of the quick things that we just due diligence. One of the reasons I like the HUD Home Store is basically they clear all those liens, and you get it with not anything on it. There's no problems, there's no liens, there's no bills. We were wholesaling one house on the east coast of Florida, and the lady had passed away. It went to the HUD Home Store, but she had passed away, and there was damage to her screen on the pool prior to her passing away, which was like, I don't know, $150, 200, whatever, little code violation she got. Then they ended up charging her $10 a day. By the time it got to foreclosure, it was 500 plus days or something, and the fine ended up just to clear the pool lien was 50,000. So that wholesale deal that we were going to do, which was the most perfect wholesale deal ever in the land, that everything it was a relationship thing. We met somebody at a conference, and we met the mom. Her daughter was a flipper. Actually, Nicole was at that one, so it was a perfect wholesale that ended up taking. And that's with persistence, being very persistent, because we got it at such a good price. It took over a year, and I don't know, like 60 extensions through the HUD Home Store to get to finally sell the house. But there was a $50,000 pool lien. I don't know if that would have been, if it hadn't have been HUD, if that would have been missed. But then you buy that house and you're looking at 50,000 just to clear the pool lien. So there's some of the due diligence things we look at that will keep you safe and make sure you can buy the property. Anybody have any questions?
I'll have some in the future. Sorry.
No worries. Hey, Marissa.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for the presentation. Just real quick, I just want to make sure to check for the zoning and code violations, we should have our title company do that when we're trying to purchase.
Yeah, I mean, we always check everything ourselves, but there is like I don't know, in Maryland it might be different now, or maybe our title company just did it. Down here, and some of the investors were like, you have to tell your title company to do a municipal lien check, because they don't typically do it. So there's probably maybe an extra charge, I don't know, or they don't do it. But yeah, so every house, now we close, and once you get to use the same title companies, they know what you're looking for and they do it anyway. But we had a good title company in Maryland, we have a good one here in Florida. But we do, since we buy virtually, we don't, we have a good title company in Indiana until you actually make that relationship where you find out that you have a good one. But it doesn't hurt to check the websites, because code violations are on there. And then, that's just something you bring to the seller's attention and say, hey, or you put it in the contract that this code violation must be clear, prior to closing, just in case it slips through the cracks. And you don't want to be looking at $1,000 code violation, or, it just makes your numbers upside down.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? I know I went kind of quick with there's all kind of websites out there with each county has a website, so you can check code, you can check permits. Most things will pop up. Just some other examples. We just recently had a deal come to our inbox, and it sounds pretty good on paper, where it's a tax lien or a tax deed, I'm not sure which, but they wanted to sell them to us for like 13,000 for 3 lots. Each lot is probably worth 13,000, so we could, it's not in our area, we could just quickly wholesale. It would be a quick wholesale deal. But doing a little digging, it's in a community where it also looks like those lots are owe some back HOA or community things or something to the tune of 50,000 each. So then that 13,000 doesn't look anywhere near so good. So we have to make sure in our contract, it's like, all that's taken care of, or we're not going to take possession of it, because then it's definitely not a deal. The lots are only worth 13,000. We'd be paying, 50, 56, 57,000 for, so it's then not a deal. So that was just something recently that came in our inbox that, on paper it looks good, but until you dig a little bit deeper. And the person that was, asking us if we wanted them, she's very on the up and up, and no issues there. But, that was something that was a surprise to her too, just by us digging a little deeper. Anybody have any other questions or anything real estate? Ooh, a quiet group this evening.
So I have a question.
Nobody on camera, nobody. James is on camera.
Yeah, there you go. So I do have a question. So,
Sure.
When I'm looking at a apartment building or whatever it is, mobile home park, whatever it is I'm looking at, in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, what is the bank going to think? Because they're going to underwrite this a lot more conservatively, and we're pretty conservative. And if I underwrite it thinking about what they're going to do, then usually I know it's a pretty good deal. Do you have something like that where you think about kind of what is the bank going to think? What is the hard money lender going to think, or any kind of rule of thumb? Or is it just, I'm just weird and I just do it myself?
No, I'll tell you, we're very conservative. COVID's been pretty, we had some good stuff with COVID, and then we had some bad stuff because the Florida market down here just went crazy. And we didn't buy anything here in Florida. We got something on a lease option, but we didn't buy anything because the numbers here, people were just going crazy with $100,000 over ask, no appraisal, no inspection. So we're conservative always with our numbers anyway. And then if we even think there's an inkling of some other issue, or some code violation, if there's something we can't track down, but we'll take another 5,000-10,000 off the purchase price, because we're ultra conservative about everything. I think the rule of thumb is 65-70 cents on the dollar. We're usually trying to get stuff for 40 to 50 on the dollar, and that's if it looks good in a perfect world. So we're always thinking about the private money lender. I mean, that's or hard money. Either way, you're not wanting to be in a position where you're not paying that bill, that your reputation's everything that gets back to people. Oh, the cameras are popping on. I like it. Anybody have any other questions on due diligence in general, or real estate in general, or single family in general?
I just wanted to say that I'm very interested in Florida, so the things that you were giving as far as insight was very helpful, and thank you.
Sure, no problem. Thanks for being here. Appreciate your time.
So when you are looking, this is to buy a residential property that you may want to keep and rent. How does your due diligence differ in terms of what you can pay for something? So if you're looking at comparables, particularly as prices are going up, what do you look at to make sure that deal is going to work as a rental?
So we stick with the same stuff with rentals, that how much go to Rent-A-Meter, go to the property managers, other houses in the area, and we want to make we want the cash flow, and we want to have reserves, and pay for property management and all those fees to come out to make it the right kind of deal. Again, typically in Florida, and I don't know how it's gonna turn out, the rents have just went out the roof, but the prices have too. And I don't understand how some of these investors pay like 300,000 for a house and then they're only getting 1,500 rent. I guess it's if you're buying on appreciation or, you're just hoping the house goes up. We won't buy that way. We just, we continue to buy as if, the rents aren't going to be, I don't think Florida can sustain, I don't know about other areas, but I don't think they can sustain the rent numbers that they're going after. I mean, we have a couple houses in the neighborhood not far from us, and we started out when we got them as 1,000 per rent. They went up a little bit. We haven't raised them up, but that same neighborhood now is up to 2,200 for working class folks or kids with just kind of not minimum wage, but a little bit over kind of jobs, so they can't even do that. And at some point, either everybody's going to move out, or you're going to be sitting with a vacant house, or you're going to have to drop the rents, and then you bought it wrong. So we stick with the same conservative numbers that we would. If that answers your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
I don't know. How's Maryland? Are they? I heard before it was what 1,600 to 1,800 for a 3-2 there in Baltimore City.
In Baltimore City, yeah. In the county, it's 2,000,
Yeah,
1,800 to 2,200.
yeah. For a 2-bed, I just rented a 2-bed is 1,850. Yeah, but you can go as high as 1,900 to like 2,500.
Is that in Baltimore City or the county?
Oh no, this is PG County.
Okay.
Prince George's County is in Riverdale, Maryland.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Yeah.
And that was one of our biggest challenges when we moved to Florida. We learned in Maryland, and although we were making that transition, we had properties in Maryland, so we were all in for 50 to 60 and getting $1,200 rent. And then we came to Sarasota and they're like, "Oh, I bought a house for 300 and I'm getting $1,200 rent." So we've had a very hard time wrapping our heads around that with like, that makes absolutely no sense. And they didn't think our numbers made sense. They either thought we were making it up or, it's just, there's a different kind of, thing that you battle with water and different things, but each area has its own little problems. And as long as you figure out those problems, how to combat the water bill or how to, do different things. But like, we just couldn't wrap our head around those numbers that people were paying, and they still pay. Like I still don't, that's why we haven't done a lot in Sarasota. You really have to dig deep to find, you can find flips and that kind of thing, but it's a little bit harder. And I think go ahead, sir.
No, but one thing I just noticed there's apart from the Baltimore area, when you come down to PG County and all those stuff, it's very hard to find like a multifamily home. It's pretty very hard. You can find in DC and all the rest of it. Well, there are a couple of few ones in the PG County area.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know too much about PG, Nicole.
I actually don't know too much either. It's so is your question how to find multifamily? Is it
in the PG County area? Because the reason why I'm saying that is the lot of low income earners, and the distance to DC is like 30 minutes to 20 minutes. So there's a lot of people that go into DC to work in there itself. So if you have a property there, you always rent.
So I'm over in Montgomery.
Yeah.
And it's very, couldn't find anything to buy today that you would pencil out to rent, because you're paying too much for the property. And I suspect it's the same in PG.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same because
so my answer to that is basically don't just look in PG County and Montgomery County. Look in the counties that are out for your case, out to the east, where people maybe have to travel a little bit more, but prices are significantly different.
Okay.
So, I mean, the people who are buying apartments and stuff like that in Montgomery and PG and DC most of them are coming in and buying cash at these prices, because otherwise you just can't make it work.
Okay.
Was that what you were really asking?
Yeah. I just, maybe the thing is, I'll probably just look at more counties around that area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit further out from DC. There is a question on here from MD. I'm not quite sure who that is. Jane, that says, how would you utilize 90 to 100K from a self-directed IRA to net the best ROI? Jane? You're muted.
Uh-oh. Can you read that again?
How would you utilize 90 to 100,000 from a self-directed IRA to net the best ROI?
I think for us, we typically do interest only, and now it's because the interest rates are going up. I think 12 interest only, a couple points is what we're paying out from self-directed IRAs.
So if they had $90,000 to $100,000 to invest, what would they do with it? So are you saying that they could lend you the money and you would pay them?
Yeah, I was saying that's what I got that turned around. That's what we lend out at those rates. So knowing what I know now, I would probably be a private money lender.
So I think that the issue for me answering that in an IRA is that if you are buying something and not buying it outright, so if you're doing some of the creative strategies like seller financing or lease option and some of those things, there are some downsides to actually holding the property itself, holding rentals in IRAs, unless you have an LLC or something behind it. So some of the things that I think you can do is A, you can lend. B, you can buy something that's non-performing from somebody and use it as a note. So create a note. So you don't actually, you actually are the bank rather than have the deed to the property. You can wholesale. You can do options and then sell the option, or buy an option and hold on to it and make sure you get it filed in the public record so somebody can't go around you, and hold it until somebody wants to sell it or something, and then you make them clear the option. So I think there's several things you can do in a self-directed IRA that's going to make a good amount of money for those kinds of things like that. What do you think, Jane?
Yeah, and we know a couple people really hitting heavy on the options because it's less money now, so they are using the options in their self-directed IRA. I guess when you have your own, when you buy your own property, and I guess for us, because just we weren't that versed in the IRAs, the self-directed IRA stuff, it just just to make sure you're not doing any disqualified things or things. So that's why we pretty much tried to keep that separate with I know wholesaling is a good thing. We've never actually done that. Perhaps we should. out of the self-directed IRA.
Yeah, you're going to be limited at how many you can do because the IRS is kind of looking at some of those things. But you could certainly do, 2 or 3 to kind of build that up so that you could, get something under contract for $100 and then from your IRA and then wholesale it for 5,000 or something like that, right? So you can buy notes, non-performing notes, and get them performing again, and get, buy them at cheap prices, and then make, recast the loans and make really a killing on some of those. So you can buy tax liens and tax deeds in IRAs. There's a number of things you can do in IRAs that are with that $90,000 to $100,000 that would go a long way. In fact, Jane mentioned one where you find some lots in a tax lien. Most of the time, lots are going to sell for what the taxes are on the property. And you are going to then turn around and, so I'm making this up. You say you paying the taxes for $1,000 on a lot, and you turn around and sell that for $5,000, that lot for $5,000 a year later. Well, you've just quadrupled your money, right? So I think there's a lot of things you can do. Who is MD? I was trying to figure out who that was.
Hi, Monty Demyanovich here. That's me, MD. Thank you for
Ah.
answering that question. That's a lot of info. I'm writing like a madman here, so I can go back and kind of look into these ideas and options. So I appreciate it.
You betcha. I'm glad that answered that question.
Hi, Nicole. This is Marissa again. It's interesting that that question came up because I just realized actually this week that I need to move my mother's 0401, IRA into a self-directed IRA, and I wasn't too sure what I could do with it. Now, the IRA that she has doesn't have that much money in it at all. It's under 20K. Is there still any options for me to use with that? And what would you suggest for a small amount of money like that?
Is she retired at this point?
She is deceased. She passed 7 years ago.
Okay, and she still has an IRA?
I never did anything with it. Well, when I asked my tax guy, I was under the impression that I wasn't going to be able to do anything with it. So
Yeah, well, if somebody is deceased, depends on the type of IRA, but you generally have to close it out and use that money. So it can't stay in unless it's a Roth IRA, and then you have a certain amount of time before you can have to take it out and use it. But most of the time, it's like a life insurance policy, so to speak, in that when somebody dies, it gets funded out. So you probably need to figure out what kind of an IRA it is. If it's a Roth IRA, you're probably okay.
Okay, I'm looking at the information right here because I just have it sitting here.
Marissa, sometimes they'll allow you to take it out a little bit at a time. So let's say, okay, your mom passed away, and over the next 5 years, you need to take out 20% each year, and we'll tax you on that. So I don't know, Nicole, what do you think? Reach out to like an IRA company and ask questions there?
Well, if her mother already has an IRA, she needs to talk to that IRA specifically, to find out what kind of an IRA and what the rules are that they're running by. But to my knowledge, it's only Roth IRAs that you have all that time to take money out.
Okay, yeah, it looks like it is a Roth.
Okay, then most of the time you have 8 to 10 years after somebody's deceased to have all of the funds in that IRA dispensed.
Okay,
So
well,
you probably need to talk to that IRA.
okay,
And figure out what you're going to do with that. So that money's going to come out of the IRA. It may be possible, and I don't know this, for you to move that into an IRA, a Roth IRA for you. Or you take that money out, use it for your pocket, and take 10 or 15, $20,000 of your money that you've gotten from a
Mhm.
job and start a Roth
Mhm.
IRA for yourself. So that you,
I mean, honestly, I use it towards real estate if I'm being transparent.
okay.
So I just
Well,
need
for
to
me,
see
and this is just my opinion, I think Roth IRAs are the seventh wonder of the financial world.
okay.
Because the reason is you're paying tax initially, and then you put that money in an IRA
Mhm.
and you invest it, and you never have to pay tax again. You can grow that to $10 million and never pay tax on that.
Mhm.
So taxes are by far your biggest expense, without a doubt. They
Okay.
typically are, 20 to 15 to 25, 27% of what you make goes to the tax man.
Mhm.
And Roth IRAs, you're paying the tax before you put the money in, and then you invest the money and you never have to pay tax again on it.
Right.
And you can buy real estate and options in your IRA. But sure, if you get the money, you can certainly invest it in real estate and get some cash flow, and that's a good thing to do too.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I would talk to your that IRA, and see how long you have until it has to be distributed.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Nicole, in that same vein, wouldn't that roll over to an inherited IRA or no?
It might, but I don't know exactly what kind of IRA that is. And that's why I was saying she needs to talk to that IRA. The custodian, to find out what she can do with that. I don't know much. I really don't know very much about inherited IRAs, to be quite honest with you. What can you share?
It's just a good way, and I know a couple people that have had smaller dollar ones that then they were inherited just small amounts, and then they've joined up with other people to kind of build them up, or maybe grandsons, or younger folks that the grandparents left the Roth, and then it's built up.
For a while back, you could take distributions. You didn't have to take mandatory distributions, and it could last until your youngest person in the family, whoever you left as a beneficiary, got old. They've changed the rules. So I don't know if this is what you're talking about or there's something else, but now you have 8 to 10 years to deplete that Roth IRA, as opposed to being able to leave it to a child beneficiary, and they take it out according to how long they're predicted to live, right? And you can continue to grow it at that point. You can still grow Roth IRAs even after somebody's dead for those few years, but then you have to take it out. And I think I'm not
I think
exactly.
it is like 10. It is like 10 years, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not an accountant, and I don't play one on TV.
Me either. And I'm not a lawyer.
Me either.
Okay, one last question. The options that you were talking about, what are those and where would I get them? Would I call the bank for one?
No, you're basically creating an option. So here's an example. Somebody has a a house.
Mm-hmm.
It's an older person. And they're having some trouble making some repairs to the house right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they want to live there. They want to continue to live there.
Mm-hmm.
So what you do is you create an option with them to give them, I'm making this up, $5,000. Your option payment is $5,000 to have them do this work.
Okay.
And in return, your contract says in 5 years, or when they, in 10 years, or when somebody graduates from high school, or whatever the issue is, they sell that house to you at 85% of the market at that time, right?
Okay.
So you're negotiating a deal that is beneficial to you now, that allows them to stay in the house until whatever, for a certain amount of money that you are going to give them to do whatever it is they need to do, right?
Okay.
And so it's an option, and then you file the option with the records folks. So it's a mortgage to secure the option. And then you just sit on it, which is why it's good to do an IRA, because you're just sitting on it until the time when they're going to move, and you can exercise the option to buy the house. So if it's 10 years, I'm making this up, the average increase in value of a house, I'm not talking these COVID years, but generally it's 2 to 5% a year, right? So
Okay.
let's just say it's 3%. And so in 10 years, that house has increased 30%, and you bought it. Your option says you were going to buy it at 85% of the value at that point. So now you have a 45% increase in the value of the house, and you're going to sell it. And the proceeds come back to your IRA. So you exercise the option, you sell the house, or you keep the house as a rental. Does that make sense?
Yes.
What I was talking about?
Yes.
So the idea is you find an opportunity
Okay.
and you create a deal. As my friend Pete Fortunato says, he has never had a deal land in his lap. He's had plenty of opportunities, and he creates the deal. So that's where you have to kind of get creative. And options are a good way to create deals.
Okay.
Jane, would you like to
Especially-
weigh in on that?
Yeah, that was a perfect example, and it's especially with smaller dollar IRAs, that's a great way to build them up, because they're just putting out a little bit of money. Say that you said 20,000, if you did 5,000 on 4 different opportunities that came your way, then you've used all that funds. You can sit on a little bit, and then you're going to get twice, 3 times, 4 times, depending on how when you exercise your option.
Okay. Thank you both.
Yep.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Any questions? We had enough for the night.
What are you talking about next week?
Oh my goodness. I did the schedule and I don't have it in front of me.
Oh, Jane. Okay. Don't worry about it.
I'm trying to look at it. It'll be something interesting.
Yep.
It'll be mind blowing, so nobody should miss it. So, guys, we do have a YouTube channel as well, and James makes sure everything gets edited, and so you can catch the replay. And also, we have some cool stuff on the website, starting to add up to the resources, so you can get some of the paperwork that you need to actually be practitioners and be useful in your everyday real estate investing.
Can you put that YouTube channel link in the chat box, James?
Yeah, hold on for a second. Let me find it. And by the way, I found the schedule, and next week you're talking about mindsets, what it takes to succeed. And for those of you that don't know, Nicole, you want to talk about how big a percentage of success mindset is?
Yeah. I actually think it's probably 90% of your success is your mindset. It's fairly easy to learn the craft if you just study, but what you can't control is your mind. What your mindset is you have to get past the, yeah, but what if? You have to get past the fear. You have to get your mind in that your wealth and building your family's legacy is every bit as important as going to a job and building your boss's legacy. So you have to be willing to spend the time to build what you want to have happen. And that's going to mean changing so you don't watch so much TV. You can't do all of the fun things. It's being able to see what you want for your future. Don't let that negative that negative talk convince you that you can't do something. That's just fear. And fear is the misuse of your imagination. If you have to imagine yourself successful. Don't imagine something failing. What would you add? That's kind of my 2-minute pitch on mindset.
Okay, that presentation is over. She nailed it. No, I really do think that's, I think like, and we put that in the schedule because, you know, we've been doing this for a couple weeks now, maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks. I've lost track, but you know, at the end of the day, you have to get out of your own way and go do deals. And, you know, the last couple weeks, we've just heard a lot of people afraid to, you know, do stuff. And after you get your first deal, I mean, we used to, not that we don't get excited anymore, but you know, now it's just like buying a pair of shoes or going to Walmart and doing something when you actually, you know, get a deal or get something under contract. But, you know, a lot of people just can't get out of their own way with coming up with excuses why they shouldn't do this, why they shouldn't do that. And you really have to put that aside. It's a numbers game, and anybody can be taught the numbers. Anybody can be taught how to rehab. I can barely swing a hammer, but I can run a rehab. So you don't have to be able to, you know, put a new roof on or, you know, put an air conditioning unit in. You just know how to have to manage the people. And it comes down to relationships and how you treat people. And it all comes back to mindset. So the mindset to deal with people, the mindset to know that you can do it and get rid of all the negativity, because there's a ton of it out there. We were told a million times, you'll never succeed. You don't know what you're doing. This isn't going to work. And, you know, here we are since 2016, we're still going. So if we would have listened to all that, we wouldn't have any deals, much less 100.
So I look forward to, I didn't mean to steal your thunder, so you can talk more about that. Make Sharon talk about it, since she couldn't be here today.
Right. So, all right, guys. Thanks again for your time. Appreciate everybody being here. Hope we had a little bit of value. Check out our Facebook, YouTube, or the website for some freebies, and we'll see you next Tuesday. I'm trying to make it Thursday already. Next Tuesday at 7:30.
All right, and any of you guys who are in the Baltimore area, tomorrow is our multifamily meetup that we do once a month. It's at Timbuktu, starting about 5 to 6. Well, actually starts about 6, but we're always there a little bit early to answer questions and to just chat real estate. So if you don't have anything better to do, come out and visit us tomorrow at Timbuktu.
They have great crab cakes, and I don't even like crab cakes, but I can tell they're good.
Oh, they are tremendous.
Wish I was up there so I could join in.
Yeah. All righty.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
Good night.